Hi, this is Chuck Oliver. Welcome to this week's Hidden Wealth Solution Review. Well, the number one retirement worry can actually be saved in a hurry. Give me just a couple minutes here, folks, and let me break this down for you. So according to a GoMeeting survey, they found that the number one retirement worry was not having enough assets to last a lifetime. And they attributed that number one worry, 58% in this poll, right, attributed that to poor planning, which they didn't really define, and poor investment performance. So I want to focus on the poor planning because I believe that poor planning centers around what we find for those of you listening that have worked hard and saved hard, boomers and retirees, either trying to get to retirement or better through retirement. The poor planning comes in the area of addressing and offsetting taxation and inflation. And clearly those two go hand in hand, right? Inflation causes more taxation. Taxation is another form of inflation. Let me teach you what you can do to solve the number one retirement worry in a hurry. Go to retirementprotected.com. That's retirementprotected.com. I'm super excited to teach you my Protecting Your Retirement from Taxes new webinar this coming Tuesday. Now, it's a complimentary log on and learn educational webinar, but let me walk you through just a couple examples that we're going to talk about. I think of not just what I call the ticking tax time bombs, right? This is predominantly for those of you that have been strong savers in IRAs and 401ks, and you're concerned about all the tax that you are going to pay, either today or leave that tax on to tomorrow or both. Or you're somebody that's still working, and that's where you predominantly saved. And you're not only just a strong saver in those environments, but you're a strong, high income earner. Folks, you can really, really benefit because the poor planning that's attributed to this number one worry that can be solved in a hurry is getting rid of unnecessary taxation, which already reduces the exposure to inflation. Let me give you an example. I'm going to teach one strategy, and I think of the clients I just met with from the great state of Florida, and they're about 5 years away from required minimum distributions, and I talk about them on Hidden Wealth Radio this weekend. And they said, Chuck, we're going to get killed on required minimum distributions. Their required minimum distribution is going to be over about $120,000 if they don't do something about it. And they've got a runway before they get there. Now, some of you watching this may say, Chuck, I'm already stuck in that rut. I'm already exposed to these required minimum distributions, and they are costing me more tax. For many of you listening, it's pushing you into a higher tax rate. But listen to this. They had tax exposure not only to their required minimum distributions, but then the inheritance tax they were going to leave to their 7 grandchildren, their 5 kids. On top of that, they had tax exposure in their brokerage account because of these horribly tax inefficient mutual funds causing long and short-term capital gains. An annuity that was non-IRA that's going to create a massive capital gain to their children. Their estate tax exposure. Folks, I mean, the list of what happens is when you don't take care of the IRA taxes that were maybe even formerly a 401k, you create a tidal wave of additional taxes. And I talk about it on Hidden Wealth Radio this weekend, and some of these things you won't believe. There's now what's going to be about a 1.3 trillion shortfall of those that didn't work hard and save hard, that those that did are going to have to pay for because federal and state governments are going to have to create new taxes to take care of people that can't take care of themselves. So imagine a tax on those who chose not to save as hard as you. Add to the Biden administration, goodness gracious, of forgiving the student loan debt that's going to cause taxpayers an enormous amount of money. On top of that, folks, they're looking to Mickey Mouse around with the Roth IRA and what that income, although it'll come tax-free on a federal and state basis, according to our tax team, still may be counted towards whether they get to count that against taxing your Social Security and your Medicare. Well, folks, we got Medicare tax, we've got Social Security tax, and then for those that are still paying into Social Security taxes, they want to lift the ceiling so that all of our income, for those of us still working, paying into the system, can take care of a system that's broken. Or as one person said it best, they said, why can't we figure this out? If for some of us, we're getting taxed as high as 40% on what being from a government that's ran our economy into the ground with our national deficit quickly approaching 40 trillion. Why would we ever trust them? They're going to continue to tax to the max, folks. Go to retirementprotected.com. That's retirementprotected.com. Let me teach you just one strategy I'll talk about. We're going to talk about a lot of them on Tuesday, but one strategy in particular where you can use a deduction to offset getting your IRAs converted to Roth IRAs. We'll talk about another strategy, especially for you business owners I mentioned this weekend, that creates another tax deduction so you can lower your taxable income, use that tax to put it away tax-free in a Roth alternative account. but also how to get rid of your inheritance tax, but your current tax, and become a low tax or a no tax retiree, folks. You work hard for your money. Imagine more financial success, less stress, less worry, more time with family, traveling, doing the things you want by staying ahead of the number one retirement worry, by solving it in a hurry, by getting rid of poor planning around the areas of taxation and inflation. RetirementProtected.com, retirementprotected.com.